Lewis here with Spin Whitetail, and I'm going to be talking today about what happened to me yesterday. And there's going to be some footage in here of me actually getting lost in the woods yesterday. Yesterday was the last day for crossbow here in upstate New York, and I decided to go hunting early in the morning. I got there at around 6:30 to get in my stand, and I had a game plan to leave at probably 10 o'clock. And so I got down out of my stand at 9 o'clock. I checked the trail camera that I had there, and I decided to do some scouting. And I had a Walmart compass, and I took it and I pointed it towards the road, and it said northeast. So I knew that I had to walk northeast no matter how far I went in. I started walking. I went further into the woods, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, I want to get back to the road. So I pointed my compass northeast, and I started walking that road, or towards the road. So I started walking, and as you'll see in the video, I got to a point where I could see an opening in the trees, and I was like, okay, this looks kind of similar to where the road is, because there's like a swampy, marshy area that's across from the road. And I looked, and that's what I thought that I saw. So I'm following my compass, just walking through the thickest, nastiest stuff you can walk through, and I get to this open spot, and I look, and it's just swampy marshland. That's all it was. There was no road there. And at that point, I did what they always tell you not to do, and I panicked. So I started trying to follow, because the road that I hunt is actually a dead-end road. So I thought maybe I was up so far that I was at the end of the road, the dead end, and I had to backtrack to get to where the road started again. So I kept walking and walking, and meanwhile I'm yelling for help. I can hear somebody running a chainsaw back in the woods, and when I yelled for help, I heard the chainsaw stop. I yelled for help again. I didn't hear anything for a couple minutes, and they started the chainsaw up. So if you hear somebody yelling for help in the woods and you're the person running that chainsaw, don't be afraid to stop and at least yell back so they know that you're there. Because I couldn't quite pinpoint where the chainsaw was at, so I didn't want to walk to where I could have been even worse off. So at this point, as you'll see in the video, I decided to stop and try to make a base camp, come up with a base plan. And my survival pack, I always carry a lighter, I carry matches, because you never know when you're going to be put in a situation like I was yesterday. I was lost for a total of 5 hours yesterday, and I stopped. I lit a fire to get warm, because even though it was 60 degrees, I was walking, I was sweating, it was windy up there, and the wind was hitting me, so I got cold really fast. And I made a fire, and I just prepared to sit there for as long as I could, because I had no service. There's no service up there whatsoever. So I sat there till around noon, and at that point what I didn't realize is, like, I had plans to be doing stuff with my parents that day, and I was supposed to be there at around 11 to help them with something at their house, and I wasn't there. So by noon they were starting to question where I was at, and my girlfriend that lives with me, she said that, she hasn't heard from me, was wondering if I was there. So that comes into play again. Always have a game plan with somebody. Always have a game plan with somebody, because you never know what's going to happen. You could fall out of your tree stand. Anything could happen. So by then, people are starting to get worried, which is good for me, because I have no service. I can't call anybody. So I got to a point where it was around noon or so, and I decided I had to keep going. I couldn't stay there as much as I wanted to. I couldn't stay there. So I kicked the fire out. I started to get up on these ridges as high as I could, because I thought maybe by chance I might get some kind of a signal up there, which is really rare to get service up there at all. let alone be able to make a phone call. And I came upon this spot where you could tell it was a big deer bedding area, and they had been doing cutting there in the past, like a long time ago, and it was wide open. And I stopped there to take a break because I was so tired. I had been walking for probably 3 hours at this point. And I stopped there, I sat down, and all of a sudden my phone started going off in my pocket. I had the littlest bar of service. And then my messages finally went through to my girlfriend, my parents, to call 911 that I was lost. So they texted me back that they were on the way, because my dad, he used to hunt up there too where I hunt. So he had kind of an idea where I was at, but he wasn't 100% sure. And my compass at times would just spin. It wasn't accurate. I don't know if there's limestone up there or what was going on, if it was just a junk Walmart compass, but it was spinning. And it was useless. I actually ended up losing it because I sat my stuff down and I picked up all of my stuff but that compass, but it was useless to me anyway. So I was able to call 911. They weren't able to ping my phone because the GPS service was so bad. So they had no idea where I was at. They just had kind of an idea. So they parked up on top of a hill where my Jeep was. They went walking down the road, and I could hear my dad yell. I yelled back to him. I heard him yell again, and I yelled back to him. And then from my knowledge is he told the DEC officers to go straight back to where he heard me yelling from, which pretty obvious. So then they came back, and I kept yelling and yelling so they could pinpoint where I was at, and then they finally eventually found me. But the moral of the story, just make sure you have a good compass if you're going to do something like that, because it could have been a lot worse. Up there where I was lost is roughly almost 2,000 acres. I mean, you can get lost in that very easily and not be found for a while. And actually, I was looking at maps too after it had happened, and my compass, I was in between the two roads. I was in between, but my compass was pushing me further and further into the woods. And if I hadn't stopped when I did, I probably would have been spending the night, and it probably would have been blown out a lot more than what it was. But I was up there at 6:30 and I didn't get home until 2 o'clock, so it could have been a lot worse than what it was. So without further ado, here's the footage from what had happened yesterday. And don't forget to like and subscribe hopefully you don't see more content like this in the future, but like and subscribe. It was a very scary situation, and I'm just glad to be home with my girlfriend and my 1-year-old. Thank you. All right, everyone. So here's the deal. I'm lost, and this is going to be, I don't know, a series, I guess. I don't know when someone's going to find me. I went hunting this morning, decided I would do a little scouting at around 9. And I can hear chainsaws in the distance, but I'm in a nice open space here, as you can see. So when they do come looking for me, I'm going to have a fire. I'm making a fire right now. But you remember that video about having the stuff in your survival bag? This is where it comes into play, because right now I've got a lighter. I can get a fire going. I've got a stream right next to me that I can get water from, but right now I'm just going to stay put. There's no sense in getting even more lost. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to build a fire and just hope somebody finds me as quick as possible. I tried to send messages out, but I've gotten no service here. So talk about a scary situation, and I'll show you what I'm looking at right now. And here's another thing too. I did bring a compass, and there must be limestone up here because I followed the way back, and it got me so lost. And so yeah, this is going to be my survival series. But right now I'm going to be focusing on obviously getting a fire going. Then I'm going to have to try to build some kind of a shelter, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here for. But I've got water that's back behind me. I can get a drink from there. But as far as food goes, I have no food. So, and I have my crossbow here, but the chances at getting something, it's going to be slim. So bear with me. Hopefully I make it out of this. This is what I'm looking at right now. Forest on all sides. Well, everyone, it's been 2 hours so far since I got lost. Got a fire going now. Now I'm going to try to focus on some shelter, probably. Start preparing for the night. Start gathering wood up and stuff, and hope that somebody comes looking for me soon. I really hope so. At least it's supposed to be nice this weekend, so if it does take them all weekend to find me, at least, you know, I'll be... It's the only... My concern is it's going to get cold at night. And I mean, I have all my hunting stuff, but right now I got to focus on shelter. I've tried yelling for help in the distance and hoping that somebody hears me, but it's not looking very promising so far. So I'm going to work on getting a shelter built and go from there. Keep you updated. Well, everyone, just an update on what's going on. I decided to move from where I was at, and I finally got to a spot that was nice and open, and I was able to get service to call 911. So now it's just a waiting game. They can't pin my phone because the GPS signal is so bad. So I'm basically just to sit and duck until I hear somebody, and my parents are coming too, so I'll show you. This is where I'm at. And I could see that there was trees that had been logged some time ago. I mean, there's one right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this area has been logged at one point, but I don't dare travel too much further while I have signal. So I'm just gonna stay put, and my parents are on the way too. They're gonna be yelling for me as well. So again, I'll keep you posted. Well, guys, I am driving out. I got found by the forest ranger, so wicked hats off to him for finding me. So yeah, that's gonna be a wrap for this video. If you're gonna go in with a compass, make sure you're going in with a damn good one, because I went in with a Walmart compass and it just led me so astray. So the moral of the story: buy a good compass. I'm very thankful to be out of there in, 5 hours. It could have been a lot worse. So just keep that in mind if you're gonna go into the woods. Bring a good compass and know how to use it.